Hello everyone. On behalf of the Centre for Innovation in Education and the Academy, I'd like to welcome you to the Learning and Teaching Conference 2021. Now, this is the second year we've had to run this conference entirely online, and whilst none of us anticipated that we would perhaps be in this situation for so long, we hope that finally there's some light at the end of that very dark, long tunnel. But despite the greyness of the situation, there is perhaps a sliver of silver lining to the experience that we've had over the past 18 months. The Centre for Innovation in Education has worked with colleagues across the institution to support the move to a more hybrid and blended learning and teaching experience. I think that the pandemic has perhaps also taught us the real value of face-to-face, in-person, on-campus interactions, for both our staff colleagues and our students. The Learning and Teaching Conference is one of those events where I think we really missed those informal opportunities for social interaction and networking. And so we do intend to run the Learning and Teaching Conference as a face-to-face, in-person, on-campus event whenever we can. But as we begin to plan for a return to some on-campus teaching, it is therefore timely for us to think more deeply about when and why we will ask our students to be on campus with us. Education Committee and Senate have recently endorsed an update to our curriculum framework. As you will all be aware, Curriculum 2021 has, by its very title, almost come to the end of its proposed lifespan. The principles, hallmarks and attributes associated with the Curriculum 2021 framework will remain, as we know many staff have worked hard to embed these into their curriculum and teaching practices, and these hallmarks and attributes remain as relevant today as they did when they were developed a few years ago. One additional principle that will be added, though, to what will now be known as the Liverpool curriculum framework is that of inclusive curriculum. We know that many of you have already worked really hard to make your curriculums more accessible and more inclusive. The work we have seen in the Centre for Innovation in Education around decolonising the curriculum and developing accessible resources for our students is testament to some of this work. However, it is important that all of our programmes are underpinned by these principles associated with inclusive curriculum, and so it is only right that we add this as a core feature to our new Liverpool curriculum framework. Additionally, the framework will now also include what we're referring to at the moment as teaching modes. Over the past 18 months, all of us will have experienced the benefits and challenges associated with remote and online learning. As we plan for a return to campus teaching, and by the very nature of that, a hybrid approach to our curriculum design and learning and teaching activities, we need to think really carefully about the places and spaces in which we teach. Whilst Curriculum 2021 was very much about the what, in the conversations with colleagues from across the institution, we've identified 4 teaching modes to begin to help us think about the how, and perhaps in some cases the why. The pandemic has provided us with an opportunity to value and legitimise digital spaces for learning and teaching, and also how we now might maximise the potential of both in-person and online learning and teaching experiences. Therefore, as part of curriculum and development activity, we'll also now need to ask ourselves which spaces or which places is best for which particular aspects of our teaching. So these 4 teaching modes are in-person, on campus, the one that most of us will be entirely familiar with, and probably the one which we hold most dearest to ourselves, this idea of being in person on campus, and it should still form a really important part of our student experience. The other mode is in-person, off-campus. We know there's some really innovative approaches to off-campus teaching as well, but still in person. And so we think it's important to add this into that mix and to really talk about opportunities around in-person, off-campus teaching. Online synchronous is another mode that we've included here, and obviously this is something that we have probably all experienced over the past 18 months, and we will begin to have a sense now of when online synchronous works best and when it doesn't, and the benefits and challenges around that. But it's important that as we plan our teaching, that we think about it legitimately as an option, and in some cases, a preferable option for some of our teaching. And then the final one of the four modes is online asynchronous. Now, this is something that we probably do regularly, which is provide resources and information to students asynchronously online, but perhaps not something that we really think about. And so we've added this as a teaching mode because we think it's important to think about the relationship between those modes, the relationship between the online asynchronous materials and resources and support in relation to the in-person on campus, for example. So those four teaching modes are now about us thinking about how we present that curriculum to our students in different ways. It's not necessarily about using all these spaces or modes, but at least appreciating the value of each and the potential of each within the context of our own disciplines. We know that many of our students have appreciated the flexibility of online learning and teaching, but we also know the value and importance of those on-campus, in-person teaching interactions that both our staff and students have missed. So as we rethink our curriculum, it's important we draw upon those experiences and think carefully about which modes of teaching best suit certain aspects of our curriculum. The theme for this year's conference is Reflect, Revise and Reimagine. And the range of lightning talks and workshops and digital demonstrations that you will see at this year's conference provide just a snapshot of the innovation and the approaches that colleagues have taken in order to continue providing a really fantastic learning experience under very difficult circumstances. And so as you engage in the conference and attend sessions, think about some of those innovations in the context of your own teaching and take this opportunity to reflect on your own experiences, perhaps identifying what has worked well for you and your students and what hasn't worked so well. And think about what you might need to revise or what you will rethink in the context of hybrid teaching. And don't be afraid to reimagine what teaching and learning might look like in a post-pandemic return to campus. So all that remains for me to say is I hope you take the opportunity to engage in discussions and conversations throughout the day, albeit virtually again, and make use of the additional resources and information alongside all of the synchronous sessions that we're running.